for joining us today to the Poseidon Med Stakeholders Conference in Athens. Thank you very much to our respective speakers who accepted our invitation to be here today and share their valuable input with all of us. Well, the conference will open with Mr. José Anselmo. Mr. Anselmo, thank you very much for being here. Mr. Anselmo is the Principal Coordinator, Motorways of the Sea. Thank you very much, Mr. Anselmo.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, dear shipping industry. It's really indeed a pleasure to address a conference where the shipping industry is really the largest part of it. It's long time no see. I started 42 years ago in the shipping industry. So in 1974, I started my work on a private company in the shipping industry in my home country, which I leave to you the guess. I'm coming from Portugal, and for us, of course, shipping in terms of transoceanic shipping, it's a fundamental issue. It's part of the tissue, of the blood. Well, this should be a short speech, should carry out a vision, be inspiring. That's what my dear friend Dr. Zappeion told me. It's a small thing, inspiring, a vision. But then he said two things that are very important, short and to the point. So I'll try. The project in itself is inspiring. It carries the vision. I'll just try to be able to be to the point and deliver a very short speech and let us carry on with the rest. We are all always at the crossroads. Europe is the largest trading bloc in the world. We are just 505 million people, 28 countries. The small tissue around you in the Mediterranean is around 450 million people. And if we look at our friends in the United States and Canada, together with them, Europe, the European Union, and we are 900 million persons, the most affluent people in the world. There is one thing that unites them all. It's not the ring of the Lord of the Rings, but it's shipping. I'm sorry to say, but if and when we will implement the treaty with the United States, goods will not be carried by rail. I'm sorry to tell you this, probably you weren't aware of that, but it needs to be carried by shipping. So what we are trying and doing is trying to adapt the trans-European network of transport to these needs. Can we cope with that? Can we get the goods in our ports and then, of course, deliver them to the hinterland? But we have to make a major effort to support shipping and to lead our assets, namely the ports, to adapt itself. Poseidon Med is gathering 5 countries, if memory serves, Cyprus, Slovenia, Croatia, Italy, and of course, Greece, and has decided to take problem into its hands and try and transform it into a challenge and identify opportunities. And I think they did, and that's a very good omen for us. As you know, we have a problem, we, the inhabitants of planet Earth, we have a problem with air emissions. And IMO has approved an air emission restriction, which translates itself in Europe with the so-called SECA area, where there is controlled emissions for sulfur, and which entails very deep changes either on the operating mode or on the fuel to be used, or on abatement measures, or on different technologies. Some of them are short-term, like the abatement measures, scrubbers. We will not dwell on that. But I think that this project, and that is the vision, has identified a new potential, a long-term sustainable use of fuel that could at the same time relaunch the shipping industry in this eastern Mediterranean side. And I'm referring to LNG. So what this project is doing is assessing all the possibilities of developing liquefied natural gas opportunities and industrial development. I know it is not easy to speak of this today, 1 year later, when the price of oil started coming down. Well, maybe we'll still be speaking of this next year when the price of oil will have come up again. And when many of the shipping companies in the north of Europe that have decided to go for MGO will experience serious difficulties because the price will be, if not next year, the year after, it will be happening. You cannot change to liquefied natural gas overnight. You need to make an investment. You need to have a vision. Is it easy to do this? Well, I don't think that the industry can do this alone. That's why in the European Union we are supporting this industrial development with funds, with the Trans-European Network. What we hope and what we expect is that this is found relevant by each one of the countries, and that the countries may help the further development of this change, of this implementation of liquefied natural gas in the Eastern Mediterranean, that countries can support it in such a way that this will lead to other type of industrial developments as well. Why should we build all of our ships in Korea? I know it's a matter of monies, of course, but if we with the change of the exchange rate for the dollar, the prices of European industry shipyards are becoming more and more competitive. Some countries like Finland, they love that you do that because they build all the equipment is built by Wärtsilä or others, and then is exported and implanted in the ships in Korea. So why can't we share the development with shipbuilding industry? Europe cannot live just of people building up web pages and working on software, because actually we do not feed on software alone. So we need to go back to an industrialization, and what would be extremely important is that a big change in this paradigm of the type of shipping is beneficial not only to the shipping industry, but, for instance, to the shipbuilding industry, because that creates very permanent ties with the country. Relaunching a few shipyards, it's an important thing. If we are just discussing one ship, well, you can't make a lot of changes on this. But if you are discussing the investment on a large number of vessels, all these changes, and if you are discussing being able to pull together and buy 10 or 20 vessels, that gives you a flexibility of maneuvering. That gives you a possibility of driving the development that is rather important, and I think you should really take. We are trying to do this thing also in the Baltic. The Baltic, such as you, is developing a project, pulling up a number of ship owners from Sweden, Finland, and Denmark, and trying to develop a large order of ships, all of them sustainable, and building on these economies of scale and state support, not state aid, but a certain support to development. Of course, they have to meet these so-called SECA requirements. They will come to you sooner or later. I mean, this is IMO, they will come to you, not tomorrow, certainly, but I don't know what you call 2020, after tomorrow. It will come to you. And so this is time to get ready for it, and it's time to pull resources together and give a lift up to the economy. And I think it would be an important sign from the shipping industry to the political powers that you're not there alone. So the benefits of the shipping industry are much more larger than just the operation of the ship. They have to do with all the tissue of shipping. They have to do at least as well with the shipbuilding industry, and they have to deal with something that is very important, is we trade. Without shipping, we do not have trade. We do not have mobility of people. We do not have cohesion. Shipping counts for Europe as 40% for the internal market and 75% of our imports and exports. So what I would like to see is that a maritime power, a maritime country like Greece, takes this challenge and this project, and led by the Greek ship owners, the Atlantic Short Sea Shipowner Association, and my dear friend Panagiotis Zakariadakis, goes forth with its own project, with the spin-offs, with Europa concept, and really develops and implements this new concept that will bring you at the same level of development as in the Baltic and in the North Sea. So I truly expect that shipping in the Adriatic and in the agencies is going forward, and well, I'm very glad that Motorways of the Sea and the European Union have contributed a little bit for this. So thank you very much. Very well done. Success to your project.